welcome back to the Witness of Fitness podcast. In today's episode, I'm dictating a whole episode because I've had loads of questions about, we'll just say, losing weight, reducing body fat. So in today's podcast, we're going to talk everything fat loss. We're going to discuss what kind of that means. We're going to look at factors affecting weight loss and fat loss. We're going to look at nutrition for fat loss, how exercise can help, and how we utilize exercise for fat loss. And obviously, one of the biggest things is looking at lifestyle factors affecting your weight management and your fat loss. And then we're going to end it really with strategies to help you reduce your fat and, importantly, sustain that. So keep it off. So let's not delay anymore. Let's get straight into segment 1, understanding fat loss. So in this segment, we're going to delve into kind of the main fundamentals around fat loss, and then to kind of do that well, we need to really understand what we mean by it and define it, so we're all looking at this in the same way. Because usually when I speak to people within the fitness industry and I'm working with clients, the first question isn't how do I reduce fat loss? The first question is always how do I lose weight? And these are two very different things. So weight loss versus fat loss. And you see this within the fitness industry. Those two things are completely different. If I want to reduce your weight, there is numerous ways I can do that. And one of them is reducing fat. That will help you reduce your weight. Another thing would be reduce your water levels. So your water retention, get rid of water out of the body, your weight will reduce. Or even, break down muscle, that will help you reduce weight, or even chop off an arm. Some of these are more extreme than others. So it's important that we're on the same line when it comes to kind of what exactly fat loss is. So while a lot of people talk about weight loss, and fat loss usually does equate to overall weight loss, they are not the same thing. And we need to be really clear on that. So when we talk about fat loss, we're talking about reducing what's known as adipose tissue. So they're like your fat stores as such. So it's where, when you generally ingest too many calories, whether that be from carbohydrates, protein or fats, if you have too much of them, any of them, your body always stores them as fat within that adipose tissue. So like I said, it is important to distinguish between what weight loss is and fat loss is, because let's be honest, fat loss, we want to reduce the adipose tissue storage. Like I've said, weight loss can include water loss, muscle mass loss, and fat loss, or a combination of it. But to be honest, water levels and muscle mass, they're kind of important for health and function. So we don't really want them to reduce. We want muscle mass, we want appropriate levels of water within the body because it'll work better. We know there is a distinct kind of number and range that we want when it comes to body fat, and we want to make sure they're within the health ranges. So like I said, when it comes down to fat loss, we're trying to reduce the adipose tissue within the body. Let's get them low while preserving our lean muscle mass. That's the kind of main objective we want to do when it comes to fat loss. So according to research, the International Journal of Obesity, excess body fat, and there's loads of research around this that backs it up, is associated with loads of health risks, loads. And most of these are what would be considered preventable because I'm sure this will rub some people in the way. Whether you're overweight, obese, lifestyle factors are huge within that. Basically, it's your decision making that's affecting your health. Now, if you hit a level of obesity, the health risks include things like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, musculoskeletal disorders, and this epidemic of obesity is it's been on the increase for decades, basically. The World Health Organization back in mid-70s kind of classified obesity as like, this is something to watch, it's not great. And then pretty much decade by decade, it's been shooting upwards. It's pretty much kind of nearly tripled since the 70s, which is a frightening thought, really. There's a large proportion of society and the world that is extremely overweight and obese, and it's really bad for their health. Now, I know some of you will try and rebut this and kind of go, well, Pete, some of the research data, what they use BMI, so body mass index, to then work out whether someone's overweight or obese. And you're right, BMI can be a poor measure. So for those that don't know what a BMI is, it's dead simple. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? Little calculation, they can then put you in risk categories. Reason why this is a problem is people with, we'll just say, a large amount of muscle. So let's just go quite extreme, a bodybuilder. We put their weight in and they've got lots and lots of muscle mass. Into that BMI, they're going to come up as they're morbidly obese when it's clear they're not. So there is some kind of issue with using the BMI for this measure. However, I'm going to go in quite crude, quite direct. I want you to walk around the world and do an eyeball test. It is really clear by today's standards that just by, I know it's harsh and direct, just by looking at people, it is clear that there is lots of people that are clearly overweight and obese. You walk around a city centre, the town, the city centre, and you don't have to look very far before you start to see larger people. Now, this isn't me kind of pointing and shaming. It's showing that the research is correct regardless of how they've decided to measure it and the downfalls of said measurement. It is clear as day that our society has an issue with obesity, and it's been getting worse, and it's been documented and researched quite plentifully. Excuse me. So, to understand why this is a big problem, and you storing excess body fat is a big problem, is simply because the way your body utilizes it and we'll just say the effects. Now, a lot of people just look at fat tissue and adipose tissue as just kind of like a storage silo, a site for energy, and it sits there waiting to be used, and when we don't use it, obviously there's issues. Now, this is correct, but there is also other really important factors that you need to consider, and this fat storage is also kind of linked really strongly to kind of things like hormone control, the endocrine systems, and a whole host of kind of we'll just say chemical function within the body, and this can contribute to things like inflammation, higher inflammation, metabolic difficulties, things like that. So it's really important that these fat stores don't get too big. And on the flip side as well, we don't actually want them going too low. There's that optimal range we're trying to hit. So it's a bit like a Goldilocks principle. Your adipose tissue, there is we'll just say a desired amount that we know that when you hit that amount, and the amounts are generally for men between 15 and 20%, and for women between 20 and 25%. When most people hit that number, bodily function happens generally quite well. If you go under that or over that, that's where we start to see issues with some of the things that I've just pointed out, the kind of endocrine, the hormone, the inflammation, and it's going to start to deteriorate your health. And the longer and the more extreme that goes, that's when we go back into them health risks. All of a sudden, you developing cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, musculoskeletal disorders start to increase rapidly. So it's important that we bring these down. Now, there's another kind of point that we need to be aware of, and that's visceral fat. So, yes, we have adipose tissue. The adipose tissue that is generally around the organs, so when we start looking at kind of like your belly, your waist, this increases our risk a little bit more of developing like cardiovascular disease and metabolic syndromes. We know that if your fat store, also known as your visceral fat, so the fat stored around your organs, starts to increase too high above the norms that we've set out, then your risk factor goes up again. And we can use that kind of waist circumference, and a really easy way to do it again is an eyeball test. Is your belly button position, your belly area, as wide or as wide or wider than your hips? If that's the case, your risk value starts going up quite significantly in terms of heart disease. It will, lower mortality. The chances of you dying sooner starts going up. And this isn't me just saying it. There is lots of study out there. In terms of what I've got written down here, the Journal of American College of Cardiology found that individuals with high waist circumference, indicative of excess visceral fat, so the fat around the stomach, had significantly higher risk of heart disease and mortality compared to those with a normal waist circumference. So, like I say, it's really important that we get that kind of waist measurement down because it reduces the visceral fat and makes us healthier. Now, a lot of people I speak to, they generally want to lose fat, sometimes because of an aesthetic thing, the way they look. And that can be important. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you're not happy with what you see because the nicest possible way, you've got rolls, etc. That's important as well. It's important for the way we feel about ourselves. So, it's not just this physical element, it's the kind of mental and the kind of confidence, self-esteem as well. But fat loss is multifaceted. Yes, there's we've just a little bit touched on aesthetics, but it's also, for me, more important for improving our overall health, reducing the risk of these kind of chronic diseases. So in the next kind of points, the next segments coming up, we're going to start to delve in about improving our overall health, reducing the risk of we'll just say these chronic diseases by reducing our body fat into the appropriate amounts. And we'll start to look at kind of what factors influence fat loss in terms of food, exercise, sleep, stress, genetics. And then importantly, like I said, we'll go over like strategies. What can you do about it? How should we approach it? Where should you approach it? Because everyone can do it differently. There's not just one way of doing it. There's multiple ways of doing it. And the objective is that we have that fat loss to take us into the healthier ranges, and we can do it in a sustained way. So let's delve into factors affecting fat loss that we know. And this part, we're going to look at lots of different things and try and help you understand these factors, so we've got a better idea and hopefully a better way of actually lowering your body fat into the ranges that we talked about. So various factors, everything from diet, the things that you put in your mouth, exercise, what you do with your body and how we utilize the energy and the nutrients that you put in, and even sleep and stress, and understand these factors and how it's going to help us to kind of really achieve sustainable results when it comes to fat loss overall. So first thing, and the main thing, or a big player, is the food that we eat and the significant role it plays in our overall body composition and fat loss journey. Now, there's quite a bit of research out there that kind of points to that if you eat well, your body fat is usually lower, and your metabolic health is usually better. And when you look at these research, it always kind of points at the same thing in terms of a diet rich in fruit and veg, lean proteins, whole grains, and just getting the levels right overall. Because obviously, if you still eat too much of those foods, you're still going to gain fat. However, what we do know that is when you eat more healthily, your satiety is better, as in you feel fuller, and you generally don't eat more. So when you eat those type of foods, it usually sustains you better, meaning that you don't overeat. When you eat other types of food, the satiety is usually worse, and therefore you never feel full because you don't meet that kind of metabolic need, you don't give your body the nutrients it needs, and you generally end up eating even more. So we know that we kind of want that kind of whole food group, nutrient dense foods going into our diet that will help control our body fat levels. So to flip that over, if your diet looks like high processed foods with lots of refined sugars, lots of saturated fat, these promote weight gain, and your risk of obesity related diseases goes up again considerably overall. The problem with kind of ultra processed foods especially is they're really calorie dense. They've got a lot of sugar in, a lot of saturated fat, and a host of other things, so you get a lot of calories in a small space. However, the other essential nutrients in there are really low, making them a huge contributor to kind of like obesity problems. You're getting a lot of, we'll just say one particular nutrient that we don't actually need that much of, and you're no way near getting enough of other nutrients that we need higher amounts of. And that's why it's generally looked at as poor sources, or processed foods, highly processed foods are really not a good idea overall if you want to become healthier and you want your body fat to be in that lower, healthier range. Now, if you want to reduce your body fat, here's one thing we haven't really talked about. It does matter about calories, so the amount of food overall that you need to put into your system. But I'm hoping that you've understood from what we've just talked about now, it's not just about eating less. It's about eating better. It's about eating for health. And when you do that, and you give your body what it needs to function, it'll feel sustained. You will meet energy demand, you will feel better for it because things within the body are going off. And weirdly, it's going to stop you overeating because it will give your body precisely what it needs. And just by eating healthier, you're probably going to eat less, which puts you into that calorie deficit, and you will slowly but surely lose body fat. So yes, calories do matter, but not the way you think about it. It's not a case of just eating less. That can be done, let's be honest. You can lose body fat just by not eating that much and eat nothing but McDonald's. As long as your numbers are right and eat nothing but McDonald's, you'll lose fat and weight. However, how can you sustain that? It's impossible because the food choices are really, really poor. You cannot sustain that. Impossible. The only way you can sustain fat loss in the long run is the method. And the method has to be this. You have to eat healthily. Give your body what it actually needs. And over time, your body's composition will change to that of a healthier one overall. Now, we put an energy system in, so the food that we eat also creates the energy for us to use. Now, it's really important that we use it, because as we know, when we don't use it, it gets stored, and I don't need to store anymore. So physical activity, both from direct exercise and what would be kind of called like non-exercise activity, you walking around, taking the stairs, just being a little bit more physically active is really important. So physical activity, the whole point of it is that we make our body more efficient. We build on lean muscle mass tissue, we make our heart and lungs more efficient, we boost our metabolism and enhance our fat loss. And when I say metabolism, that's just a case of using that energy up. Don't see that word metabolism as something really complex. Just look at it quite simplistic and kind of go, my metabolism is me burning the energy that I need, and exercise is going to help you do that. So when we look at the kind of overall guidance, we need to be active every day. That doesn't necessarily mean going for a kick-ass workout at the gym every day, but you need to be active every single day. You cannot just be sat on your butt. It's not good for your health. There is loads of research out there that points at that. We are designed to move, so get out there and move. Now, if you ask me what would the optimal would be, I would say active every day. Move as much as you can. Park further away from the supermarket doors. Don't take lifts, take stairs. Pick, lift, shift stuff, do housework, mow the lawn. Start doing stuff that is more physically active every single day. Stop doing things for convenience and go out your way a little bit to move your body. Then on top of that, you need to be doing resistance training at least 2 to 3 times per week and cardio training maybe 3 to 5 times per week, somewhere in the realm of that. So you've got them workouts and a combination of them over the course of a week. Now, I've just kind of put out there a load of exercise. You will not be able to just do that off the bat. It's going to be impossible. You just kind of training that amount in, next week I'm going to have free resistance training workouts and free cardiovascular workouts. Let's get it cracking. You ain't doing that. If you haven't trained for a long while or your training is quite sporadic, you can't just go straight into that, but you need to start building it up, and that takes time. So let's keep it simple. You haven't trained for a long period of time. Your next period is to train maybe twice a week. You're going to try and be active every day with the kind of lifestyle stuff like walking, etc., every single day. And then you're going to try and get to the gym or a workout where you're going to do, let's just say, 1 resistance training exercise workout and 1 cardiovascular. You're going to give that a few weeks, and then you're going to build that up as you get fitter, as you build more confidence, as you build, you just get them success, working on progress, not perfection. Within weeks, months, or even years' time, you're going to be in a position where you are being physically active every day with lifestyle stuff, and you're doing 2 or 3 strength training sessions a week, and you're doing, let's just say 3, 4, maybe 5 cardiovascular training sessions a week as well. Ideally, we need to get you up where you are training about 3 to 5 times per week overall. So if we just put all the resistance and cardio together, in an ideal world, train 3 to 5 times a week of a mix of them, as well as be physically active. You're just going to have to build that up. And remember, to elicit that fat loss, it's about just incorporating and working on a healthier body and a healthier lifestyle overall, and physical activity is a huge part of that. One question I get asked as well, especially when it comes to exercises, which is the best exercises? Is it strength? Is it cardio? Is it this? Is it that? Is it HIIT? You hear that a lot. And at the end of the day, there is lots of research about what exercises burns more calories and this, that, and the other, but that's irrelevant at this stage, because all we need you to do is train. So it doesn't matter. Yes, I want you a bit of a holistic approach. Do a bit of each thing. Don't discredit or, don't not do any of it. Do some cardio, do some strength. But at the end of the day, what I want you to do is do it consistently. The best way to do it consistently is enjoy it. So fun, enjoyment, working on something that's a little bit challenging, a little bit out of your comfort zone, these are perfect starting points. So whether you like dance fitness, go and do it. Just get your heart rate up, make it a bit challenging. If you love lifting weights, go and lift some weights, but don't just discredit everything else. Don't just do the stuff you enjoy. That's the main point. That will keep you turning up, but you still need to do other bits as well. Just make sure that fun is your primary go-to with exercise to keep you going back and to build on that habit and routine overall. So I won't go into the research that says this burns the most calories, this, that, and the other. It don't matter. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to turn up. If you don't feel part of a community that feels supported and held accountable, you're probably not going to turn up. One thing I will say is group exercise, and research backs this up as well. People that turn up in groups to exercise together, so like what we do at the studio at Witness to Fitness, they turn up more often, they support and are held more accountable, and they work harder. There is research to suggest that when people train in groups, those things happen. They turn up more often, they're held to more accountable, they work harder. And those things, if you put them things in, it was kind of like, well, you're going to get better results, aren't you? So go and enjoy the exercise that you're doing, and get a strong community around exercise around you. So go and socialize with people that do this kind of stuff and build off their behaviors, build off their positivity and their habits overall. So I'm hoping you're starting to understand that some of the things that are generally overlooked are your lifestyle factors. We'll just say the little things, or the things, or the big things really, but the things that people don't really pay too much attention to, or they just cast them aside like they're, it's just something else, it don't really matter when it does. And these things that are overlooked are things like sleep, stress management, hydration, your overall mindset. So we need to kind of look into these and hopefully get you to understand how crucial these are in achieving and maintaining your kind of fat loss goals and making sure that your body composition gets down to a healthier level overall. So if we just take sleep first. So yes, we need to sleep. Adequate rest is essential for overall health and well-being. So it's really important that we focus on that anyway, because as we've already said, when we looked at healthy eating, exercise, it was always about health first, and that will then contribute to a healthier body composition and elicit that fat loss. So yes, sleep is in the same way that just like improve your overall health and well-being. However, it also plays a really key role in fat loss. So yes, you can sleep poorly and it contribute to you gaining or holding onto body fat. Reasons for it. Firstly, poor sleep. As soon as you get poor sleep, your energy demand goes up. And a lot of people are kind of hardwired to then seek out and destroy high fat, high sugar foods. Them calorie dense foods, the processed foods. The moment you get inappropriate, inadequate sleep, you're going to lead towards that. So kind of sleep deprivation has been known to kind of increase hunger and cravings because of that. We'll just say the impact of poor sleep quality on the body and the fact that you probably need more energy, etc., but you're going to lead towards worse food cravings, food habits, food choices. Now, on top of that, poor sleep quality has been linked to kind of high levels of cortisol. So those that don't know cortisol, it's a stress hormone. So you've had poor sleep, your body kind of has we'll just say a fight or flight response, and you're going to get more cortisol released into the body. So this stress hormone, which promotes fat storage, especially in the abdominal region, we know has a significance. So the visceral fat around the abdomen, we know has that higher increase of poor health, serious disease, which we don't want. So how can I improve my sleep quality so we'll just say we don't get them cravings for high fat, high sugar, and I keep my cortisol level generally lower? It's start managing your sleep pattern. Now, there'll always be someone that goes, well, my kids and I'm a busy parent and this, that and the other and sleeps this, that and whatever and I ain't got time and my job, I've got to get up at this time. And in the nicest possible way, that's BS. There is stuff that you can do and you should be doing. Will it be easier? No, but you need to start applying it anyway. So you need a regular overall kind of sleep pattern. It needs to be consistent, trained, applied Monday to Sunday generally. So most people get up at the same time, and that's usually forced upon via work. So work and you just kind of getting on with your day forces you to say, let's get up at 7 a.m. The one thing that I always find varies with people is what time they go to bed. It always varies. This is the bit that you need to set in overall and get right. If you are getting up at 7 a.m. and we know we need around 8 hours of quality sleep per day, give or take, then you really need to be asleep around 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night. Now, some of you may be only just going to bed at that time. I'm telling you, you need to fall asleep at that time. So technically, we need to be in bed before, and we need to start just what's known as working on your sleep hygiene, the things that help you sleep better earlier than that. So let's say, just because who you are, it always takes you about an hour to go to sleep. You know, that unwinding process, that is totally fine. But that means we need to be in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock, give or take a little bit of time, consistently, to then wake up at appropriate time at the 7 a.m. when you so-called have to. Now, consistency is the most important part. You need to do that Monday to Sunday. You will get a benefit and a dividend from it when you do it. All because it's the weekend, don't stay up later or get up later. You're going to disrupt the pattern and it's going to be hard to get back on track. You're trying to imply a routine that works for you, that's not a prison, but offers you the 8 hours, ideally, of quality sleep time. And that's you practicing going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. Will it be easy and perfect? No, there'll be a transition, there always is, but you need to start heading towards that structured routine that works for you, that will help you improve your sleep quality. And when your sleep quality improves, all of a sudden your fat management, because of the things we stated out before in terms of looking for calorie dense foods from high fat, high sugar, and you know the boosting cortisol, which we don't want, is going to be a lot easier to manage when your sleep and your kind of rested properties are met. So we've already mentioned cortisol and the fact that it's a stress hormone, so it just links on perfectly that you also need to look at your stress management. Chronic stress, so chronic being long term, you're not really dealing with the stress, or the stressors are just continually coming at you. Not only takes a mental toll, an emotional toll, you know, smashes your well-being to pieces, but it can sabotage your fat loss efforts. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're currently stressed, we know that you're going to have a lot of cortisol. So we already said that one way to deal with cortisol is get better sleep quality. The other thing is actually understanding, you know, in what ways are we getting stressed and what can I do about it? The biggest thing I see is some people don't even recognise when they're stressed, because they see stress as one thing. Usually when you say stress, is that kind of, we'll just say that anxiety, that's the stress, the worry. But stress comes in various forms, and I'm going to say various emotions. Let's take work, because work is usually one of the biggest stressors. If you're not worried about work or anxious, that doesn't mean you're not stressed. Let's take anger. Anger is a stress response because it G's up the body, and that chronic, that heightened sense of heart rate, that anger is going to start having a negative effect on the body. That is stress. So if you're in a job position where you're regularly getting, let's just say, pissed off, you're stressed. This is not a good emotion to stay in, and it needs to be improved on. So you need to look at ways of reducing the stress or dealing with your stress in your day-to-day life. Part of that is dealing with problems. Part of that is understanding, do I need to change things the way I approach it? Do I even need to change my job? You know, some people would say more radical. I don't think it is. There's some jobs out there that are a lot more stressful than others. And you removing yourself might be a really positive thing overall for your health and your well-being. So the whole point would be limiting cortisol. Cortisol needs to happen. It's a stress hormone. It's a natural thing, but having a lot of it and doing a lot of activities that increase cortisol, the stress hormone, is not good for your overall health and not good for your kind of, we'll just say, fat storage and fat loss. So along with better sleep, you also need to incorporate kind of stress reducing activities, and everyone's really different when it comes to this, and you need to find out what works for you to help you reduce your stress, which inevitably helps you sleep better anyway, which, crazy when you think about how connected stress and sleep can be. So some activities you could think about, some of the go-tos are all about that mindfulness. So meditation, deep breathing, exercises, spending time in nature. These are all things that are proven to kind of reduce heart rate, slow down breathing, and help you feel calmer overall to reduce the stress. So you could be putting more of those things in. And you can tick off numerous. I've already said that you need to be active daily. So you going for a walk in nature not only is helping you manage the energy stores within your body, it's also reducing stress as you help to lower your cortisol levels, spending time in nature and getting that calming effect overall. It could be looked at as like killing two birds with one stone. Perfect. Going and exercising, there is nothing better, and I can vouch for this personally, than lifting some heavy weights, or just lifting some weights, applying some force, and that kind of catharsis, that stress relief. It is huge. Go and hit a punching bag for 10 minutes. I'll guarantee you will feel miles better. So along with the mindfulness, go and exercise, go and burn off some of that anger, that stress overall in the gym. It's going to help you in more ways than one in terms of reducing your overall fat loss. As I've already alluded to, a big thing is your mindset. You need to be really conscious about the way you look at and the way you talk about, we'll just say, your health, well-being, and fat loss journey. You really do need to adopt and train and work on a positive mindset. It's so crucial for long-term success in fat loss and health and a whole host of different goals. Just being positive, understanding where you're trying to get to, understanding it won't be easy, but it's worth it working on it. Now again, just to reiterate, part of that positive focus should be a reflection of what I've been talking out in this podcast. Your focus is not just on the scales or on your fat loss. The focus is in your overall health and well-being, having increased energy, improving your mood, enhancing your self-confidence, just feeling better day to day. That should be your primary mental focus with that positive outcome. And I'll guarantee the more and more you do that, your body composition, your weight management, your fat loss will improve as you get healthier. It can't not. Sooner or later, that's going to tip in your favor, adopting that healthier mindset. So, remembering that this fat loss journey is a journey. It's not a destination. It's about the way you're living your life, or even the way you want to live your life, and making it more healthy and wholesome. So therefore, by prioritizing sleep, managing your stress, staying hydrated, eating better, exercising, working on a more positive mindset can help set you up for a more sustainable fat loss, health, well-being journey, and importantly, maintaining it in the long run. So to finish, we're going to talk about practical strategies to help you achieve fat loss and keep it off. Now, as you can imagine, this is going to be like a little bit of a summary of everything that we've talked about and just putting it into action with just some simple, easy to follow advice that you need to just work on in the long term. Now, I say long term because there's loads of quick fixes out there and fad diets that promise rapid results. And they often, they'll give you short-term success, and it's not the success that you probably think it is. Go back to when I was talking about weight loss versus fat loss. They're usually weight loss led, usually water. Get your extreme weight loss but they're going to lead to long-term frustration and usually you piling on the fat again. So the focus should be long-term lifestyle change, living, breathing healthier, better well-being. And we're going to, everything that I've been talking about is evidence-based, research-driven, that promote long-lasting change and improved health. So, first and foremost, it is really essential that you work on and adopt a balanced, nutritious diet that supports your bodily function, your overall well-being. I want you to avoid restrictive diets or eliminating whole food groups, usually carbs at this moment in time. You need a bit of everything. It just needs to be balanced in proportion overall, aiming at, we'll just say whole foods, reducing processed foods, having a really varied and colourful plate, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, nutrient-dense foods. You eat foods that have a lot of good nutrients in them and reduce foods that are just a lot of bang for not that much. You get a lot of calories and not much for it, really. That's what we need to apply. Now, it's very simplistic, but that's the kind of mindset that I want you to build up. That's the kind of lifestyle change that I want you to build. Overall, eating for health. Eating good grains, carbohydrates in the relevant amount, lean proteins from meats, dairy, nuts, seeds, lentils, lots of fruits and vegetables, not just fruit, get some veg in there as well. Every meal that you have, it's always good to make nutrient dense. So when you have your breakfast, there's a bit of carb, there's a bit of healthy fat in there, there's a bit of protein. When you have your lunch, same kind of thing. I get lots of different nutrients and lots of food groups in there. Same for your dinner. Practice that daily, build it up over time. Now, when it comes to food, there's a couple of things that I want you to focus on, and it's regularity, work to a schedule, and portion control. So regularity first. Monday to Sunday, your body likes routine. So we're going to give it the nutrients, the healthy eating and the energy and all the other bits that we're eating for at regular points set to you. A breakfast, a lunch, a dinner. The times you can do them to meet your lifestyle demands, but try to maintain them within an hour or so, Monday to Sunday. Regular eating, so your body's got that nice consistent energy base and nutrient point going in. The second thing is that portion control. Just be a little bit mindful of how much you're putting in your plate, and don't always listen to, we'll just say your input hunger tool. So let me explain it this way. Have you ever had a meal where you was dead hungry before you was eating it because you had a long period of time and you ended up piling on more than you actually needed because you was just kind of really hungry, and actually just putting on the normal amount, you'd have been fine anyway. So just be mindful with your body's hunger and fullness cues a little bit more. Try to reduce kind of binge eating episodes. So, are you going through long periods of not eating and then periods where you're eating a lot of food and high calories overall? Generally, they've been shown to kind of promote weight gain. So reduce that binge eating episode overall, and that consistency can work. And as I've said, in addition to diet, regular exercise. I want you to be active every single day. Remember, this might not necessarily be direct exercise. This is about you just being physically active, using your body every day, walking, taking stairs, parking further away from entrance doors, making your life in the nicest possible way a little bit inconvenient. Stop taking lifts. Why? Because it's got a compound effect. The more you're using this body, the more energy you're going to use. What you're putting in your mouth, you're going to use it a little bit better. But I do want you to get in the gym and exercise as well. So along with just being daily exercise, daily activity, don't forget about the strength training. We want to build lean muscle mass. It boosts your metabolism. If there's more of you that's lean muscle mass, it's going to enhance your fat loss properties. And like I said before, you should be aiming to 2, maybe 3 days of strength training per week, getting the big muscle groups working. So go and get the quads going, get some squatting going, get some bench press going, get some, pull motions going, work these big muscle groups overall. Now, as I've already alluded to, and you'll have heard this statement before, consistency is key. And it's no different when it comes to fat loss. So you are not approaching this seeking drastic changes overnight. You're not. Focus on making small, sustainable changes to all these lifestyle habits. Now, I've just given you lots of different information and things to do, from sleep, stress management, hydration, food, exercise. You can't do all these in one go. So set some realistic goals, pick on one thing, track your progress with it. As it improves, celebrate that success, and then move on to the next thing and build it up. That takes time. So work on the consistency, set some realistic goals, track and celebrate. A really important way to help this along is surround yourself with a supportive community, with like-minded individuals or people that are doing what you want to set out to do. So if you want to eat more healthily, sit around people or operate around people that generally eat more healthier as well. So if you're in a workplace, stop spending time and do not eat lunch with the people that eat like shit. Focus on the people that actually, spend time with, that generally are a little bit more conscious with their eating habits, healthier choices. If you want to become more physically active, go and spend time around people that are a lot more physically active. These like-minded people will cheer you on and hold you accountable. The others won't. They may even be destructive to your overall goals. Social support plays a crucial role. You just need to make sure that it's the right sort of people overall that's helping you move forwards with these goals. Now, the main thing I'm going to leave you with to end this podcast on fat loss is practice self-compassion and patience. So fat loss, like all goals, is not linear. You're not just going to systematically lose the same amount of weight every single week as you do these things. It just don't happen that way. Life don't happen that way. There's going to be ups and downs along the way. What you need to focus on is progress. Not perfection, not kind of doing it absolutely perfect, but just like it's a little bit better than it was yesterday. Do that every single day. Do that every week. Do that every month. It's a little bit better than it was last week. Well, it's a little bit better this month than it was last month. That's the progress that we want. Every now and again, I want you to stop and just be proud of the changes that you've made. Just remember, as you change things, the chance of you just getting it right straight away is a lot lower than you realise. It takes time, and you're probably not going to do it brilliantly at the start. It's just, again, way life is. You're not just going to magically, next week, this is all in place and it's all perfect. It will not happen that way. So give yourself that bit of self-compassion, give yourself that bit of patience and time, and just think about the progress that you're trying to make and celebrate the progress that you have made overall. So I'm hoping that you found these strategies helpful. Summarize some of the things that we need to work on to help you with your fat loss journey. And just remember, you're in control. Build the mindset where you've got the power to make this lasting change to your life. If you're wanting to become healthier and fitter, to improve your longevity, this is where you're going to really make that change overall. Long-lasting change to all things health, fitness, well-being. As always, stay motivated, stay consistent, do not give up on your goals. I really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast on fat loss. If you've got any questions, as always, fire them over to me on one of the socials. If you've got things that you want me to cover in the next podcast, let me know. Other than that, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next podcast. See you later, everyone.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Witness to Fitness podcast. The place to be for everything fitness, health, and nutrition. Tune in next time.